station.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. President Trump is doubling down on his comments, blaming the deaths of Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle on, quote, Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he hurt himself in career-wise. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country.
Trump said Reiner was, quote, known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump. Police in Miami are investigating after a woman was found dead inside of a freezer at a Dollar Tree store. An employee made the discovery Sunday. The victim is a 32-year-old physician and mother of two. It's believed she walked into the freezer Saturday before the store closed. And Merriam-Webster is selecting slop as its 2025 Word of the Year. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
It's now time for Let's Elevate, the Arnie and Cary Show with Arnie Filko and Cary Grant.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. This is Arnie Filko.
And this is Cary Grant.
And we are on the air with Elevated Conversations tonight.
Yes, we are on this nice, cool evening. It's going to turn back into a warm, typical New Orleans winter.
Today was okay after I know you were traveling a little bit, but yesterday and late Sunday, boy, it was brutally cold here in the New Orleans area, and actually it warmed up today. And now the next few days, I think it's supposed to get much warmer.
Yeah,
so we're back to more normal. Cary, I got to say, I usually come here on the I-10, and this is a message for anybody that may be listening. Slow down, for God's sake.
Oh, wow.
I thought I was in the Indy 500 on the I-10. I mean, cars literally 80 miles an hour, and somebody's going to get really hurt. So this is a serious statement, is if you're driving, especially during the holidays when people are going to parties and stuff, slow down because, not only for your own safety, but for the safety of others. Yeah, I was really scared, I got to tell you, the last couple of days seeing some of these drivers. So.
Yeah, and I agree because, you have a lot of visitors in town, too. And I noticed this just driving the other day, too, that somebody was literally looking for a street, and they were stopping almost at every corner to see where they were turning. I noticed they had a Texas license plate. So the very same thing, but the car behind me is So, I mean, people slow down. I mean, it's not that serious. I mean, take your time. Get there safe.
I mean, it's a holiday season. Enjoy the holidays. Yeah. Drink responsibly if you do drink, and drive and have a designated driver. Exactly. So that you don't get in trouble, which you will, and your life will be in big trouble.
Yes.
But you also are affecting other people, and we don't want to see any kind of tragedies in our community.
No, I agree.
Well, we were talking off air.
Yes.
Happy Tuesday in New Orleans. The Saints won again.
Saints won. Pelicans won twice. We've had everything. I told my wife we had the greatest sports weekend in a long time. Edna Carr and St. Aug, you couldn't go wrong with that one.
Yeah.
But Edna Carr is just a powerhouse. They won. We also had LSU's men and women were here for a charity game at the Smoothie King Center at the same time.
They both won.
And they both won.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a pretty good sports weekend for us.
My oldest son was funny because it was the start of Hanukkah on Sunday night.
Yes.
And Hanukkah commemorates a miracle that occurred in the biblical times. And he goes, we got our own New Orleans miracle. The Saints and Pels won on the same day.
On the same day. Within hours of each other. So that was pretty good.
That Carr St. Aug thing was really exciting.
It was spectacular.
And I called Jeff Thomas, who's one of the owners of this station today. Jeff wrote a really great article about beyond what happened on the gridiron, which, again, I'm sure if you're a Carr fan, you're very happy. If you're St. Aug, maybe not so happy with the results. But what a beautiful statement of two schools, their leadership. These are largely African-American institutions.
Yes,
and just to have them play and be as disciplined and as could be, it's a great statement for New Orleans.
It was a great presentation. They had almost 40,000 people were at the stadium. It was pretty full. The lower bowl was pretty full on both sides. all of Algiers. I said this. All of Algiers was on one side of the
Right.
stadium. I know that was the entire.
And they wore black, and St. Aug wore white.
St. Aug wore white.
Yeah.
So we were happened to be guests of some people from St. Aug, so we're on the other side. But I mean, the stadium was packed. Everybody was in a good mood. I mean, it was a rivalry. It was a lot of fun, like typical like a Saints game or something like that, where you jibe the other fans or whatever. There was a little trash talk at halftime with the bands and that type of thing. But overall, a great experience. And one thing that Coach Brown said, who's a great coach and has a tremendous record, I believe he's won like 128 games and only lost 17 in 11 years. So that's how good their team is. But he said it was about the excellence in the other parts of putting the young men out on the field and them and black males and families and everybody being in a place where they could have fun and enjoy themselves and show their excellence on both sides. And he said if you went to either school as an athlete or as a student, you would do well at both places. And
these are institutions that we should be so proud of.
Absolutely.
I mean these are great academic institutions, and I'm a little bit more familiar with St. Aug than I am with Carr, but every time I go to St. Aug for an event, Alston Taylor, who's the CEO,
good friend.
He does such an incredible job of making sure that students graduate, they go to college. Again, they have discipline instilled. And then in sports, I mean, they're terrific. And obviously Carr is the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Carr is exactly the same way. One thing I was very impressed with a few years ago when they won one of their first championships, they came to the city council chamber, and I was there when they came. I was so impressed with the students, the way they presented themselves, the way they spoke, the way the administrators and the school people talked about the academics. It wasn't about the championship, and the same issues of sending people to college, finishing school, getting a job and being prepared for the world. That is what that school is doing across the river. So we should be very proud. And I have to say it about Carr, ranked number 6 in the country as a high school. Number 6.
Academically.
No, athletically. But I mean, number 6 in the entire country.
No, that's pretty
big.
I don't know the players all that well, but the lineman from Carr, my goodness.
Yes.
I think that's the number. Well, he's an LSU recruit, I think, right?
Yes.
He is just humongous.
He's a phenomenon. He's a phenomenon. And they had 15 Division I signings at all the big schools and everything. We should be very proud of both of those schools for what they're producing and what they're doing. And their leadership is just phenomenal on both sides.
No question.
Both sides.
No question. Just one more sports thing that occurred the day before the game.
Yes.
Involving Shaw. Archbishop Shaw High School here.
Yes.
They lost in a way that I felt so bad. In case anybody didn't know, the team they played missed a kick.
Right.
With 40 seconds to go.
Right.
Okay. They only had 2 timeouts left, meaning the game is over.
Right.
All Shaw has to do is basically take a knee.
And it's over.
And it's over.
Right.
For whatever reason, one of the players for Shaw, in celebration, not intentionally, not to show anybody off, took his helmet off on the field, which meant that would be used as a timeout.
Right.
So there were then 2 more timeouts. The other team was allowed, was able to call them. Right. And I think they took over with like 25 seconds to go.
Yes.
Worked their way downfield to the last play of the game. And the kicker kicked a field goal. And made it. And I saw that. If you're a Shaw fan, and I don't know who the student athlete is, but it's one of those you will probably remember the rest of your life.
It was most unfortunate. You had the championship in your grasp, and because of problematic behavior or whatever, it just slipped through your fingers. It literally slipped through your fingers.
Right.
And for them to get back down the field, even to kick the field goal, was just amazing.
And you just felt for the Shaw player.
That's pretty tough. That's a tough loss.
But his teammates really rallied. The coach from Shaw was terrific in terms of supporting him. But I tell you what, high school sports, not only Louisiana, but everywhere. It is such a great part of the athletic landscape.
Absolutely. And it's funny because now, like you said, paying attention to some of these players, and this has happened more because there's been more publicity and more whatever, but paying attention to some of these kids as they've even played on the ESPN in different places, and you see some of these kids go all the way from high school to the pros. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting to see that development. I really, truly think that this defensive lineman from Carr Anderson is going to go from Carr to the pros very soon.
I mean, they wrote a story about what was the blind spot. Remember that?
Yes.
I mean, this guy is just. I was so impressed by his size.
Yes, and he runs like a deer. He has it all. It's like, and a very soft-spoken, well-presented young man. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Lane
LSU.
Kiffin, pay attention to this guy. You don't want to lose him to Alabama or Ole Miss.
You got to make sure
anybody.
that signing commitment stays where it is.
No question. Yes. Well, all right, we're going to get serious, and we'd love to hear from you tonight. 504-582-9422. This has been a really rough 72 hours. Really several incidents around the country, around the globe. Yeah. We're going to talk about these maybe because they're really not connected, but in some ways they are connected. And I got to start with what occurred in Australia on Sunday. And I'm going to editorialize a little bit on this. If you don't know, 15 people were murdered on a beach in Sydney, Australia. Most of the people that were there for a celebration of the first night of Hanukkah. They were lighting the menorah. 2 members of a terrorist group that pledged their allegiance to ISIS, a father and a son, came onto this beach with long guns and other IEDs and explosives and that were found in the car, and they murdered 15 people, children, older people, senior citizens, Holocaust survivors, rabbis. Just a devastating situation. And I want to highlight 2 things. First, I want to highlight a man who didn't have to do what he did.
Yes,
an Arab Muslim who came out of nowhere. Surprised one of the terrorists, took the basically took the gun away from the terrorist, and then got shot. Yeah. Okay. He had to go to the hospital himself. Fortunately, he is going to survive. What a beautiful, courageous act.
Absolutely. Put his life on the line, literally, and probably saved many more people.
Probably a lot more. Yeah. And he's in the hospital. There's been a fundraising effort. I think at last I saw today, $1.5 million has been raised worldwide for this gentleman. And look, this is a gentleman and his family that ought to be celebrated because in the midst of evil, he said, enough is enough. It doesn't matter who these people are or what religion they may profess. What they're doing is wrong. Yeah. And I it's a wonderful story, a silver lining as part of a horrific story.
Yes.
Now, for the horrific aspect of this, folks, whether you're Jewish, not Jewish, African-American, it doesn't matter. Anti-Semitism is a scourge on this world, okay?
Yes.
It has got to be stopped. For those that might be listening and say, well, it doesn't affect me, why would I care? Why, it will affect you because if it's anti-Semitism today, it's racism tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And it's Islamophobia the next day, okay, and hatred against immigrants the next day. We got to stop this stuff. Words matter. And I even the Pope said this over the weekend.
Yeah.
He said, I got to stop. I mean, we have had so many killings and violent attacks in our country on the Jewish community in the last 2-3 months. People are scared to death, and they really are. Yeah. And it just and we've got to come together. And I'm going to put some blame on all aspects of the political spectrum here because words matter. Yeah. On the right side, I mean, 2 things that I'll cite. One is Tucker Carlson's brother. And I'm no fan of Tucker Carlson, came out yesterday and said, this was all a hoax. There was nobody that died in Australia. God. I mean, come on, what kind of garbage is that?
Yes.
And where is his brother? Where is right-wing media condemning that, okay? They had an incident, a conference over the weekend, Cary, in New York, where the young Republicans literally brought Holocaust deniers and Nazis to their event and celebrated them. And on the left side, I'm sorry, but it's there too, okay? When you have words like from the river to the sea, or let's globalize the Intifada, these are words that people listen to that go and take up arms, okay?
Yeah.
And we're seeing it manifested itself, and it has to stop for the good of our country, the good of mankind. It just has to stop, and it has to be condemned. And thank you to those elected officials and leaders that immediately said, no, this is wrong. This can't be tolerated. But we need more voices at every level of government, because I can tell you this is a period of time in our history that is very reminiscent of the 1930s and 40s.
Right.
And if we don't wrap our arms around this and account for it, I mean, we as a country are going to be in big trouble. And again, I say that because it may affect my community today. That's what we're talking. But I promise you, we saw it in Buffalo a year ago.
But the level of political violence and everything, and no matter what people say, the level of political violence is at an all-time high, no matter how you want to slice it, whatever political violence that is, by the way, because of the rhetoric of many, many people being at 1,000% at this point. Everything is on fire. A lot of what people have to understand is there's a lot of people who can't handle that rhetoric. They take that rhetoric very seriously, and they want to act on it. And that's what happened at Brown University, I'm sure, when they find who this person is, and various other things that have happened.
A lot of these are lone wolves.
Yeah,
that listen to this.
I
mean, they're part of the social media network.
Yes.
They hear the garbage that's out there, and
well, look at the arrest that just happened from the FBI here in the state, where somebody was proposing to do another, attack on whatever in Louisiana, and just got caught. And it's typically the same thing, because the rhetoric is driving the story. I want to do something. I want to create havoc.
Yeah, I mean, in case people don't know what Cary's referencing, they arrested a gentleman from New Iberia.
Yes.
Who was part of a terrorist organization, national terrorist organization.
Right.
They also arrested, I think, 4 people in California.
Yeah.
They were planning New Year's Eve attacks in California and likely here in Louisiana.
Yeah.
This was a terrorist group. It's called, I don't have it in front of me, but something Turtles.
Yeah.
It's a anti-government, and I have to say pro-Palestinian terrorist group that wants to go after federal officials. I mean, had they not caught this group, we would be looking at a repeat of what we faced a year ago.
Right, but in multiple sites.
Yes. And, thank God the FBI was able to uncover the plot and make these arrests. But, this is what's happening all over. The Brown University situation, which has gone really up and down for now 3 days. That we still don't know who committed the murder, but 2 young students are dead, many hospitalized.
Yeah.
And, it'll be very interesting to kind of see when they do apprehend him, and they will, what was the guy's background, what was the person's background, could be a her too. But, boy, this is just crazy what's going on in our country right now.
Yes, it really is, and it needs to really be calmed down, and you can't have every official in high places talking about these things in a way that's so cavalier. That is what causes this to keep going.
Yeah.
The flames keep getting fanned.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
On last week's From the Press Box to Press Row with Donald Ware.
Deshaun Jackson should have been the coach of the year. He was. But if it wasn't Deshaun Jackson, I think it should have been Tremaine Jackson. He's played in big games. He was in the Division II National Championship game, had Valdosta State there last year. I think Chennis Berry, his staff, learned some lessons from last year in the Celebration Bowl against Jackson State in terms of the magnitude of the game. And I think that's where South Carolina State also has an advantage. I think this is going to be a close football game, but I'm going to go with the Bulldogs over Prairie View A&M.
From the press box to press row is one of the hottest sports talk shows in the country. Join Donald each week as he takes you on a journey through the world of HBCU sports and pro sports and interviews with top sports and entertainment figures. That's from the press box to press row each week on your favorite station.
Box to Row, Saturdays at 2 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com. What New Orleans is talking about.
Ho, ho, ho! I'm D. Riley, host of the 90s Hits, inviting you to kick it with me this Christmas night at 7 p.m. I'll be playing all your favorite R&B jams from the 90s, plus your Christmas favorites, right here on WBOK 1230 AM, or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
I'm David Patan Sr., owner of Whole Water and Food Over Medicine Academy, coach, consultant, and instructor. We're excited about our 21-day challenge. Stop, prevent, and reverse disease today. Cholesterol, diabetes type 2, high blood pressure, along with chronic illnesses and diseases. We believe that the gift of wellness is the greatest gift, and for $30 per month, $1 a day, you can have this gift for you and your family.
I'm Phyllis Washington, and I've benefited with health and weight loss.
For your gift of $30, healing and wellness can be yours. Call 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. The Whole Water Store. See you at 2135 Washington Avenue today.
This is Oliver O.T. Thomas. Happy holidays to you and your entire family. Blessings this holiday season.
WBOK. Online at WBOK1230.com.
The Arnie and Cary Show with Arnie Philco and Cary Grant.
All right, we are back. And just kind of to close the loop here on the conversation, we were talking off air that, there's so many conspiracy theories out there, largely being driven by social media.
Yes.
We, first of all, listening to our own president here relative to the really vicious murder of Mr. Reiner and his family.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, show some class, Mr. President. Have some decency to you. Realize you don't like the man. He's dead, okay?
Yes.
And he was murdered, at least allegedly, by his son who had mental health issues. I'm sure there'll be more coming out about that.
Right.
But you're the president. You're the leader of the free world. I mean, are you really going to say what you've said about the Reiner family? And it's sickening, Cary.
It really is. And I think that those are the very things I'm talking about that keep rhetoric high, because it's, first off, this guy is so sick. Trump is so sick. He makes everything personal. Everything is about him. The guy hated me. That's why he's killed. This was an internal family situation. It had nothing to do with you, nothing to do with politics. And rather than just not say anything, just whatever, you have to make a big to-do out of it. And thank God, and for this one, that people are coming down on him from all points of the compass.
Yeah.
Right-wing people, left-wing people, whatever you want to call them, pretty much across the board, people are like, this was way out of line.
Yeah.
And that's probably the first time this guy's heard this is way out of line.
Yeah, it is way out of line. I know it's a competing radio station here in New Orleans, but Newell Norman went off on the president today in a monologue, and I give Newell all the credit on that because, again, there's a sense of decency that we're losing here, and it has to, young kids look at our leaders.
Yes.
I mean, they follow our leaders, and when you have the head of our own country, spouting just BS, nonsense, ugliness, I mean, what do you think people think after that? It's just terrible.
And the thing about it is that even with the Brown University situation, which unfortunately, as I always say, there are way too many school shootings, way too many things that are happening. We aren't talking about gun laws. We aren't talking about mental health issues. We aren't talking about anything or doing anything about that. But we're keep having these episodes. But for him to even go up there and say things happen, just like his Cavaliers, like things happen. That doesn't discourage the next person from thinking, "Oh, I'll go do something like that." You know, and that's what you need to start doing is discouraging people from these things. And unfortunately, like you said, to show young people whose minds are still being formed, you can't show them that when somebody is tragically murdered, horrifically murdered, that you can talk bad about them and it's okay, because you're teaching lessons that don't need to be taught.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It's every faith in the world respects those that we lose.
Yes.
And the person could be the worst person in the world. I don't care.
Right.
But when they're not here on this earth anymore, I mean, for goodness, show the respect that we as just human beings should be showing to people.
Right.
And even, you look, as we talk about conspiracies, even on, I'm sure people that are listening and you and I have certain feelings about the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
It's shameful to see the conspiracy theories that have been going on that. I mean, there's a whole group of people kind of on the far fringe right that are saying that the Kirk murder was done by his own organization internally, that the government of Israel was involved. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that is just crazy. How about the fact that you just had a lunatic who shot him? Exactly. Why does there have to be something else?
Because we're not addressing that part of it. We're addressing everything else. I'm making up stuff or whatever, but we're not addressing the parts of it that actually exist.
Yeah.
It's like the thing with immigration. One thing I say about immigration is all of these approaches that are being taken are clearly wrong-headed, not working, not doing anything. But what we aren't doing is really changing the immigration laws and processes, which is what the real problem is of how you stop illegal immigration or whatever. I mean, they don't address that at all. I haven't seen Congress bring an immigration bill one time in these last 10 months of any kind. I mean, anything. It's just they haven't done it.
10 months. I would say 10 years.
Yeah, right,
I mean,
right,
it's like Congress doesn't want to touch immigration.
Right.
How do we create a pathway? Well, the next administration will deal with that one.
We won't create a pathway. We'll pick people up in front of the Home Depot.
Yeah.
That's the pathway.
I mean, the only good. All right, let's shift topics. Some good news. Yeah. First of all, I saw our mutual friend, Mr. Greg Bavino, who the head of Border Patrol. He's not my friend. He's not in New Orleans anymore.
No, they've bailed out.
He is in Chicago. Talk about disrespectful, by the way. He put out some media post that basically said, ho, 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 like he's Santa Claus, okay? But the good news is he's not in New Orleans. He's not in Louisiana. It appears... Again, I'm not going to say that it's closed yet, but it appears that maybe the federal government has lost interest in New Orleans, or maybe they felt the pressure because they got a lot of pressure from a lot of places.
There was a great response here to this. There was a great organized movement to fight with this. And I think what they really hated was the publicity. And like you said, social media can be good and bad, but like when they went to an apartment complex, I know you saw this on the news, the people came out in droves. Everybody had their phone up. Everybody was filming everything. It was like, you can stay here if you want. They stayed about 20 minutes and left because that wasn't working for them. So I think his idea, and I think the lawyers here, I have to give the legal community a real pat on the back because they've been on top of this from day one. And they've pretty much proven that if you had 300, 200 people, only about 5 or 10% of them were actual criminals.
Yeah.
And the rest of the people are probably being held wrongly, and they're on top of that. Yeah. So hopefully they'll get those people.
Well, the last numbers I saw that they released is they arrested 350 people, of which roughly 10%, less than 10%, actually had a criminal record.
Right.
I mean, first of all, it's a far cry from the 5,000 that they said they were going to do. And 10%, I mean... Okay, what about the other 90%? Right. What is the reason that you had to attack these people and take them off the street?
I'm listening to you guys as I'm doing production in here, and I haven't really watched the news. Are you telling me that ICE is gone?
Well, that's the Border Patrol people. His people. They've moved on to another project or something. I mean.
Don't mess with New Orleans.
Yeah, we think. I mean, there's not an official announcement.
But
when they left,
Just one other thing. The other thing about which I always said about the Border Patrol that was weird to me was we don't have a border here. So
there's no border.
Patrol the border somewhere. But that's just an aside.
Yeah, we have a border. It's called coastal restoration,
right.
And, which is a whole nother issue to deal with. But
go down to Grand Isle and see what you could do down there.
Yeah, no official announcement that I'm aware.
Seems like that's what's happening.
Seems like they're kind of pulling out. And they did this in North Carolina.
Yeah,
they kind of slowly pulled out. They had done it in Chicago, but now they're going back to Chicago.
Yeah,
and but I have to tell you, I went over the weekend. Myra Pineda, who's been a guest here, Hispanic Chamber did a food drive over at UNO, and it was amazing. Cars were lined up in order to bring food.
Yes.
And then there were drivers, pastors in the community that were delivering the food to people's houses because people were scared.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't want to leave their homes.
They still are. And I mean, I think it was good that people were able to protect themselves. The fact that you could stay behind your door and be semi-safe is actually a good thing in this situation.
Yeah.
So at least there was that part. They couldn't break your door down and go. So at least if people could do that and not be harassed, that's good.
Yeah.
But I hope that this is waning, and because it doesn't seem to be getting much traction anywhere in Louisiana. It doesn't seem to be working out at all.
Yeah, and it hurts us. I mean, it hurts us as a community.
And I think that
economically, it hurts us.
I think that Lieutenant Governor Nungesser's stance on it made a huge difference because it is a business destroyer. I mean, when they talked about the hotels not having people there to make up beds and to do things with all these events and everything coming down the pike, you know, just if you just look at it from a raw business point of view, this is not going to work in the tourism area.
Well, you know how Gambit does a thumbs up and a thumbs down?
Yeah.
Big thumbs up to Billy Nungesser.
Yes, I agree.
He came out right from the beginning.
I agree.
Said, Mr. Governor, I disagree with you.
Yeah.
I would put another thumbs up to our mayor-elect. She did the same thing. Yeah. And a really big thumbs down to our governor, okay?
Yes.
Who basically sided with the federal administration.
Right.
And
I think, Arnie, I just want to go back to one other part. You and I have talked about this too. There's not a person in this country who wants a MS-13 drug dealer, murderer, whatever, running around our neighborhoods or our city. We all feel that way. We don't care what country you're from. I mean, we don't.
No, I agree.
We do not. Scandinavia. We don't want you here if you're a Scandinavian gangster. But that doesn't seem to be what we were doing here. So I think that what you're saying is true. The people who stood up for it and said, let's not do this way, let's not. Everybody said, if you wanted to do that situation where you want to get really heinous criminals, everybody would probably stand behind you. But you're not doing that.
Absolutely. And I want to throw out one more name who went public on this, and that's Pastor Fred Luter from Franklin Avenue Baptist Church. He came out very strongly and basically said there has to be another way.
Yes.
That the way it's being done is wrong. It's not humane.
Right.
And there's got to be a better way. And that's what whether it's the terrorism stuff we talked about, whether it's dealing with immigration, these are the kind of voices of reason and common sense we need heard.
Yes, and you can tell from the issues that these voices can be across the board, like you said, from someone like Noah Norman, who takes a pretty kind of conservative and hardcore stance sometimes on things, but if for somebody from that side of the coin all the way to people who are on the other side of the coin to be on the same page tells you that's where the page really is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love to hear from you tonight, 504-582-9422. Why don't we transition a little bit to more local? Because there's a lot of stuff still happening in government. First of all, I was really pleased to see the announcements late last week about the inauguration and the weekend of celebration. You know, a tradition when there is a new mayor and a new council, it's traditional to have a ball and everything. I think it was the wrong time for that. And I'm really glad, you know, for those that may have missed it, they announced basically a weekend of events. It's going to be community events on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mass at the cathedral on Sunday.
Right.
And then the inauguration, swearing in Monday at the Sanger Theater. And it's I think they called it like Celebration for All, or I think was the name, which was I know, a very appropriate way to honor our new mayor coming in, our new council coming in, and
Yes.
again, given the budget issues. And by the way, all of the events are being privately funded,
Yes.
not publicly funded.
Right.
But given the budget issues, I think that was a really smart strategic move.
I think if you just look at on the federal level, where you're basically telling people, don't buy 3 pencils, buy 1 pencil, and don't buy $30, buy 3, buy whatever. But you're trying to build a unnecessary ballroom for $300 and $400, $500 million, for this kind of thing. So it's the whole Marie Antoinette thing. And I think the people of New Orleans are really glad that somebody said, I don't want to have a big Mardi Gras party type thing, because we really shouldn't be doing that when we're telling people to have austerity. So I think that's probably a good approach to it.
Yeah, and it's coming up. I mean, for those that,
it's coming real fast.
January 12th, I think
12th,
it is. That's the inauguration day. And, it's an exciting time. No matter who you supported, didn't support, whenever you have a change in leadership, especially now, given some of the issues we're facing, there's renewed hope and optimism that the future can be better.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of pressure. I was with a council member today that's coming into office. And look, there's pressure on all of our new leaders. I mean, this is not like, you have a 3-month honeymoon. I mean, they're going to have to deal with the budget issue from the moment they walk into City Hall and many other issues.
Well, one thing I have to say, this ran into the Mary-elect at the St. Aug car game and noticed some stuff on social media. I mean, I saw her in a certain way, but where she went on both sides and shook hands, the typical thing. But I mean, she was there.
Yeah.
But and a lot of other people too. I don't want to say she was the only one there. But the thing about it was, there's still people who were not in her camp, who were, who voted for other candidates and that type of thing. And to reach out to people and be seen among people is very important. And I think that I encourage her to do much more of that. And I'm sure she will, but that's what needs to happen, because we're all in this thing together. And I think you need to make everybody know, like you said, with these events, everybody's welcome. Everybody, it's not just the people who voted for me or that type of thing. No, I mean, and I think you need to make that clear that that's not what we're trying to do here.
Well, I think good leadership, good leaders understand the fact that you've now been elected. I mean, you represent everybody.
Right.
And, the politics are over.
Yes.
And it's even more important in many ways to reach out to those who may not have supported you.
Yes.
And try to earn their trust and to show them that, you are going to be a mayor for all or a council member for all.
And that you're willing to listen to their ideas as well. And that's how you get participation and buy into these things, Arnie, because we know there's a lot of challenges coming down the road, and all these people are going to need backing for these things. If you have to propose some revenue measure that people aren't really comfortable with, you're going to have to sell it to people. It will help you to have people in all camps selling with you.
Right.
So that's what I can see as going forward. And like you said, there's some new pages to be turned. And, this is coming up pretty rapidly. I don't think people realize we're going to have a new set of people in various different jobs. New sheriff is coming and everything a little bit later, but this stuff is happening pretty rapidly.
And I would think in the next week or so, we're going to have a slew of announcements about different directors that are going to run different departments. We saw that first wave a couple weeks ago, but now the next layer will be coming.
I was just speaking with somebody about that today, and I told them that's kind of how it happens. You usually have your top tier people, 4 or 5 top people, and then you have the next level. And like you said, we'll see a lot of directors where they say people are reappointed or people are, new people are coming into these jobs. So, yeah, you're right. And they have to start making those announcements because they're only a few weeks.
Yeah, no, they got
to get to work.
The transition is pretty much over. I mean,
there's no transition anymore. It's almost like you got to be at work on the 12th.
Exactly. So, Mr. Deputy CAO, can you explain why Mayor Cantrell felt the need to veto the city council budget?
Absolutely. And I have to say this. I believe that I thought that would happen. We hadn't had a show when we were talking about that, but I thought that would happen because the budget was proposed by Mayor Cantrell was basically changed to an entirely new budget. So I wasn't surprised by the veto because it's basically not the budget she proposed. So in that sense, I get it. I understand why it happened mechanically with that. But it's also one of those things where people have to understand, as I said before in the show, we have a de facto mayor and a de jure mayor, one by law, one coming in, you know. And there's some real issues that have turned that switch in a different way. Arnie, you and I both know if things had been even a $40 million deficit, you might not have had any intervention from incoming.
Right.
You know, I mean, but the scope, the size, all the stuff going on. But I'm not surprised at the veto at all. It was exercising, saying this is not my budget, this is not what I'm proposing, because it is being passed on her watch.
Yeah. I mean, Mayor Cantrell's justification was she doesn't believe that the revenue projections that the new budget has are going to hold. I mean, that's time will tell.
And there are some that are.
Yeah, there are some that
are teetering. But you're right. I mean, that's.
But the Mayor Cantrell's budget, I have to say, if they took a poll of the public, I mean, literally, she was basically 20% across the board, new fees, and it really wasn't something that the public wanted. Okay, I mean, the mayor-elect's budget and the new city council's budget, uses more of a scalpel. It's kind of department by department.
Well, they addressed, and I would say they addressed some things that were very sensitive to the public, like the housing fund and that type of thing, that seemed to really have set a lot of people off. I mean, some cuts to some departments, we all know that there are some people out there like cut every department because,
there are some that
but I
mean,
mean, but there are people. There was a lot of the public who seemed very upset about that piece and putting that piece back on the table.
And on the fee issue, I mean, the current mayor had proposed increases in the sanitation fee.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is everybody I've talked to, it's like, we can't afford anything more. Stop, okay? Yeah. And so that was not going to be.
Sure.
Whether I have to say this because it's kind of humorous in many ways, whether you like our council president or not, I like JP Morrell. He's a friend. I think he's a great leader. I really do. But the one thing you have to love about JP, he is not afraid to say what
not
so
at all.
when the mayor vetoed the budget, he called it a mayoral temper tantrum, which was just hilarious, I thought.
He's outspoken. There's no doubt about that. He was an old neighbor of mine when I lived in another part of the city. We lived literally doors from each other, but he was that guy.
Yes. Well, we will come back in a second here and close the show out. We got a few more things we want to talk about. Got to talk a little bit about the roads right now because this is a huge issue in the next 2 weeks to see how it comes out. But we'll be back and talk about the JIRR program on the other side here.
We'll be right back.
Season's greetings from our family at the Blues Buffet.
Hey, this is Jay Boogie with the Blues Buffet. Christmas Day is special and so is the music. So get ready for a family feast of sound. It's the special Christmas edition of the Blues Buffet, playing your favorite holiday classics for the entire family. Tune in Christmas Day at 3 p.m. for the best Christmas music mix on the planet. That's on AM 1230 WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Hey WBOK family, Ron Richardson here, host of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Join me this Saturday live from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. as I welcome special guest Miss Mallory Rivard from Bayou Orthotics and Prosthetics. She will be joining me to discuss the different types of services Bayou Orthotics and Prosthetics offers to those that are in need of artificial limbs and different types of orthotics. This Saturday right here on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. Peace and love, and remember, healing and recovery start with you.
To a darkened, sinful world comes redemption. Oh, what a gift of salvation. When Jesus returns, will he find faithers on earth? For the answer to this mind-boggling question, tune into FIJTC, Faithers in the Jesus Christ, every Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. on WBOK. Follow us on Facebook at FIJTC Write-Ups and on Instagram at FIJTC 420s.
Christmas. Hey, this is Steve Poston, host of the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, inviting you to hang out with me on Christmas night at 9 p.m. as I play your favorite Southern Soul music and Christmas jams right here on WBOK 1230 AM or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
This is Cary Grant.
And this is Arnie Filko.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Wishing everyone a happy and healthy New Year.
WBOK. Better pay attention. Powered by Cox Business.
The Arnie and Cary Show with Arnie Filko and Cary Grant.
We are back for our last segment. Man, Cary, we got a sharp producer here.
Absolutely.
Literally that welcome that we just did for the holidays. We taped that about 5 minutes ago, and he's already got it on the airwaves. That's quick. Man, we're very impressed. Very
You're
impressed.
the man, buddy.
You deserve a raise, you know? WBOK leadership.
Say that louder for me, please.
Give Wick a raise. And do the morning show guy, too, all right? So we kind of previewed this a second ago, but I hope our roads, you know, for everybody that has different equipment in front of them and there's road work being done, let's hope that on January 1, all of that doesn't stop.
Right. Well, I mean, from what I understand, the stop work orders are being developed because the JRR program is not extended right now. And the one thing I want to say.
So explain that to everybody here.
The JRR program is just a fancy acronym for road work that was supposed to be done post-Katrina and post-Ida and that type of thing. FEMA funded and that type of thing. There's a real issue about reimbursements with that program that drove the general fund into some real problems and some other things. But the issue right now is that the program parts that are being worked on right now, like streets in the French Quarter, different places you see, the program was supposed to end by December 31st of this year. These programs have been extended for years, into more years and more years, and the request has been made by the Cantrell administration, and I'm sure by the Moreno administration.
Sure, both.
There will be a letter signed 2 seconds after she becomes mayor asking for that request of extension, and extensions are usually granted. The real problem is that FEMA is in such disarray on the federal level. There's funding that's available at the state from what they call GOSEP at the state of Louisiana that could fund some of these projects.
That's who administers the
They
federal
administer
funds.
the money. The feds do not administer the money. They send it to the states. This happens in every state. This is not special to Louisiana. But the funding will be released if this extension and that release is granted. But those things haven't been done, and I think really it's truly because FEMA is in such disarray as a department. They've cut so many people, so many administrators, the people running FEMA, for lack of a better thing, I don't think they know what they're doing. So I think this is all over the country. This is not just happening in New Orleans, but it's everywhere. But we have a lot of it out there.
We do. We have
probably $300 million worth of work out there.
And, you know, so right now the current status is that if all of the work has to be done by December 31, unless there's an extension. And for work that's not completed, and if there is no extension, January 1, that work will stop. Now, I was told today, let's say that it is the extension's granted a week or two later. There are provisions in the contracts that don't require them to rebid every project. It's basically
you just
temporary stop.
Yeah, you just start back with the same people.
But this is a real mess.
Oh, God, yes.
And, you know, you have, I mean, not only do you have the current mayor and the mayor-elect, but you have Steve Scalise and Troy Carter and our 2 senators, because this, I mean, in almost every part of New Orleans. I mean, in Lakeview, for example, I live in General Diaz. If you go down General Diaz right now, there's like 8 blocks of Caterpillar tractors and other stuff.
No, and it's everywhere. And particularly people know about the things very close to the heart of the French Quarter by the cathedral and the lake. Those streets have been blocked off with green fencing and everything. And they're pretty much at the point where they've done all the subsurface work and they just need to be repaved. And the machines have been sitting there for months. So that is a horror story.
Yeah. Well, it would be really just devastating to our city come Mardi Gras.
Exactly.
That all of the road
French
work
Quarter where you
stuff.
can't get
it's just so. And again, this I was told, interestingly, because you and I had talked about, we thought that the city had taken money out of the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that was not the case. That the legislative auditor has concluded that was not the reason for either the deficit or the cash flow problem. Interestingly, because I think that's what everybody kind of understood. Maybe that'll be explained, by the legislative auditor. But this is a real problem.
It's a huge problem.
And every neighborhood is literally affected by this.
I was emphasizing the French Quarter because I think a lot of people have seen that, but you're right. This is all over the city. I mean, this is literally in mid-city and uptown and downtown, everywhere. I mean, everywhere you go where you see some major construction. I'm not talking about like a sewage and water board street cut or something like that, but some long street that's being repaired. That's what it is. And if you see big equipment just sitting there, that's why it's
sitting there. Yeah. Well, we have definitely for the next 2 weeks, we have a lot of things pending here. This is a big issue.
Yes.
We didn't touch on it tonight. Maybe tomorrow night we'll touch the whole health care issue, the Affordable Care Act.
That has to be
right
dealt
now
with.
that has not been resolved.
Yes.
And the subsidies expire in 2 weeks now, on December 31.
And it seems like the Congress is at a real impasse, and particularly within the Republican caucus, it seems like they're fighting within themselves even to do something.
They are, because they realize the politics of this.
Yes.
Is that if
it's huge.
It's huge, and it's going to come back and bite them in the midterms.
Absolutely.
And you have one group of the Republican leadership that basically says, under no circumstance are we going to extend out the subsidies.
Right.
And then there's another that says, well, maybe a short extension while we work on the bigger problem.
Right, which would be helpful at this point.
Yeah, for the benefit of
people. Yeah.
Of people.
Yes.
United Healthcare, by the way, in the state did do an extension today.
Okay.
I think for 90 days. That's a good piece.
That's good.
Because we were losing our second largest provider for Medicaid.
That's great.
So the fact that it's status quo for another 90 days and maybe they can work out their differences.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
That's good.
So there's a lot going on. I guess as we enter the end of the year. You'd like to think the end of the year is kind of let's tone it down a little bit, get ready for holidays, Christmas, family, New Year's.
It would be nice to have had a December where things could just roll along and people could just celebrate and be done with it. But like you said, on almost every front, there is something huge, not even small things. These are big people, big issues that are out there.
But we end our show like we started our show. Despite all of these issues, there's only one overriding issue in New Orleans.
Yes.
And that is the black and gold are on a winning streak.
Yes.
And
we'll beat the Jets.
They will
Sunday.
beat the Jets.
Absolutely.
Then they play the Titans.
Who are worse than the Jets.
Worse.
So.
And then they go to Atlanta, and Atlanta looks like they've given up for the most part.
I think Atlanta will not have a coach by then, and then it will be an easy cakewalk because they'll probably protect most of their good players.
Yeah.
So they don't get hurt. But for us to win 3-4 more games and get to even 7 and 10 or whatever would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
And by the way, as we get to the weekend, Tulane is playing in the foot. And what a wonderful thing the head coach did.
Yes.
He donated $100,000
to their
He's on his way. He's on his way to the University of Florida. That's a really classy move.
His best statement is he said he wants to leave things better than he found them, and I think he is that guy. I wish him a lot of luck. He wants to see Tulane be successful, and he wants to be successful at Florida, and I think he will be.
I agree.
He's a really good man.
And I would not be so surprised that Tulane doesn't pull it upset.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think so,
make
too.
That prediction right
How
now.
cool would it be for Tulane to be in the Sugar Bowl?
Absolutely.
On New Year's.
That would be look, tickets will be $5 million, so don't worry about it. Just watch it on your TV at home.
Well, thanks for tuning in tonight, everyone. Carrie and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back. I think Carrie may be off tomorrow night, but 6 o'clock. Look forward to elevating the conversation with all